Hello and welcome back to another video, and today I'm starting the channel's first ever series, and this series will be drawing every Yordle from League of Legends in my own style. Every Yordle, I mean the 17 Yordles from League of Legends that you can actually play, not every Yordle from the universe, just to make that clear. Due to the recent release of Teemo on 2XKO, well, not release, but basically just the trailer, it will be released on the 7th of October when the game fully releases. So I had an idea, why don't I draw like every Yordle from League? I want to draw League characters. I had a League thing going on, or like a Riot Games thing going on. I was like, why don't I draw Yordles? Because if you know anything about Yordles, they are, I don't know how, but like they are kind of well designed. They're one of the best designs of League. Well, not really, but like their design is very well rounded, especially today's Yordle. Today I'm drawing Vex from League of Legends. So why did I start with Vex? It's because I generated the names. I wrote the names, shuffled them, and the list out of the 17 Yordles, it just happens to be, or happened to be, Vex to be on the first of the list. But don't worry, a very interesting Yordle is gonna be on the second one, on the second video. Vex is actually a Yordle that I drew before. I drew on, I believe, on 2 to 3 occasions. Yeah, I drew 3 times before on the span of 3 years, and these are my previous attempts at drawing this thing. I would say the first one and the second one were Third one was a nice shot, but this video has probably one of my best, and not just best Vex drawings, probably one of my best sessions of drawings. Like, I've never had a session like this before. Like, if you are watching right now, which you probably are, you see the process is a bit bombastic. Like, I'm using a color, a shape, and no lines. It looks obscure. It's kind of unclear of what I'm doing right now, which is kind of scary if you're doing this or attempting this for the first time. I wouldn't blame you. I was scared when I was like, this process has a downside, which is the beginning. It is very scary to draw like this because it takes a while to get there. This is the utmost definition of trust the process. Here you must trust the process with the utmost trust. The maximum amount of trust is needed for this kind of process, but it is kind of rewarding at the end when you start adding details, because, you know, for me, like, lines and coloring, like when you get to from sketch to line art to coloring, it feels giga disconnected. It feels so disconnected for me that I was like, I can't bring myself to draw like this. I need a way to draw in a way that I'm comfortable with. So it ended up being lasso fill tool. Shape design is almost like painting, which is not really painting in a traditional sense, but we are on a new age, I guess. I don't know how you interpret this way of drawing, but I was like, the beginning is very scary for this kind of process, and you have to have patience and vision if you want to try this. I would recommend trying it, but it takes a while to get used to, and if you're not very compatible with it, I just don't recommend. Just stick with lines. But for this process, it doesn't start with the drawing itself. It actually starts way back. First, you need a reference. You need to look at references. When you look at the reference, you gotta stare intently at it and analyze the shit out of it. Alright? You gotta analyze every shape possible, starting from the bigger shape to the smaller shapes. And after that, you gotta warm up your hand on the canvas. And the way I did that, I just tried to draw Teemo and Rumble, one of the Yordles that I couldn't draw before. You know, just a test, you know, have fun with it kind of thing. And as well as 2 things that, you know, look like angelic beings. I've been reading a webtoon that had really good angel designs, so I was, you know, had some angel designs in my head that I wanted to get out, and, you know, at the same time warm up my hand with a canvas before I start drawing. You know, you gotta lube it up, lube your hand and your joints before you start going deep with the process. And after that, since Vex is a Yordle that is kind of it has like one of the best Yordle designs out there, it's very easy to read into the shapes. You got the head, the ears, and the sleeves, as well as the pants. It's like triangular most of the time, especially the hair. It's like a fluffy kind of twirly. It's like a fluffy type of hair, as well as shadow. You know, like you think the more complex something is, the harder it is, but no, the more simple something is, the harder it is to draw it. Because you mess up one thing, there's only one thing to mess up, and if you mess it up, you gotta go do it again. This is why the simplest things are the hardest. One of my favorite things to do when drawing like this is to, when you have the colors and the shapes already out there, you can kind of like put some lines on it. I tried to do shapes only before, but it didn't turn out the way I wanted to, or just couldn't draw it that well. But that was what I thought before, but it just turns out that you need some form of definition and contrast. And in this case, for the hair, I just drew a bunch of lines to show the separation of the hair itself, as well as the neck and body, or neck and the face, and basically the jawline is what I'm trying to say. It's like painting almost when you do it. That's what it feels like. And it's like once you get to a certain point, it becomes easier. At some point of the process, you're going to see that once the whole picture starts to form, it becomes very easy to modify it, because the process is as follows. Put the shapes down in monotone color, and then you start to separate the shapes, and then you start putting some detail to show where everything is, and then you start fine-tuning every crony, and then you start fine-tuning every corner you can find, from the shapes to color to details, lines, anything you can put your hands on, or anything that looks off a little to you. And I struggled a bit with the eyes, which is like I tried to put some details, which is I'm not very good at details, I believe, but it turned out alright in the end. It still feels a bit off than the original model or the original design, but you know, this is why I'm calling it my style. This is how it's gonna translate from my hand to the tablet to the drawing. Speaking of tablet, the reason why I draw like this is because my drawing setup is probably one of the worst setups I've ever seen personally, and I've ever seen like from top professional to my setup. I don't have a screen tablet. Shit, I don't even have a proper tablet. My hand, if I put two of my hands on the tablet, that's it. That's all the space it has. And my screen is a little bit further, so the connection between my hand and the drawing is non-existent. So this disconnection messes up with my perception. This is why I can't use lines, because I get lost pretty easily and my sense of direction is trash, which is why through adaptation and persistence I ended up with this type of process, which is not bad because it kind of feels original. I always wanted to have an original style and way of doing things. I guess be careful what you ask is the moral of the story. But yeah, I also added to the big drawing 2 extra smaller drawings. I want to have the official serious drawing and then the 2 having fun with it drawing, which I know, ironically enough, I like the smaller ones better. They have playfulness to them, although they're lacking in some shapes and whatnot. I just don't give that much of a shit. I just like them. I like the fact that they exist. Listen, if you're an artist, this is your proudest moment. When you are proud of your things existing in front of your eyes. And that's only in digital. Imagine if there were traditional art on paper. That would be truly poggers. Now, speaking about Yordles, there was a guy who is known in the League community. He's a Canadian League streamer, and let's just say he had an unhealthy obsession about Yordles. If you know, you know. I'm just saying, if you don't know, that was just him was a bit like, just remembering him was a bit, you know, a small part of the idea, but completely unrelated. Just this chain of thought, you know. ADHD moment. But yeah, I am drawing every Yordle from League. 17 Yordles, imagine that. 17 videos, each one containing a Yordle in my style. And we're starting with Vex. If you can guess which Yordle I'm drawing next, okay? If you can guess it correctly, I am going to draw what this guy suggested to me. Draw a Skibidi Toilet meets Digital Circus Fortnite skin. I don't know what that means, to be honest. I cannot imagine it in my head. It's impossible to imagine whatever this is in my head. But if you can guess correctly, actually, not only that, if you can guess correctly and the video has like 10 likes and more, I am going to draw whatever that is. Alright, this is your chance to see whatever this abomination of a sentence come to existence. Also, speaking of comments, thank you so much for these comments lately, because when I first started the channel, which is 1 month ago, well, 1 month anniversary, I was gonna say anniversary, 1 month anniversary from starting the channel, or since starting the channel. I had comments from NPC level to actual comments that I appreciate, that make me wanna do more videos, and yeah, whatever abominations people be suggesting in the comments. I had only 2 suggestions so far. One of them was JoJo, which I drew in the previous video, or not the previous video, the video where I drew Echo as well. And whatever the fuck this is, draw a Skibidi Toilet meets Digital Circus Fortnite skin. Fortnite skin. Not only draw a Skibidi Toilet meets Digital Circus, but it has to be a Fortnite skin. I'm telling you, 10 likes, and guessing correctly was the... if I see the name, I'm just gonna pretend it's guessed correctly, alright? 10 likes on top of that, I am going to draw whatever this is. I'm putting in like a video dedicated to this bullshit. So yeah, I had some fun with the design, or with the drawing process, because it's Vex, you know? It's kind of one of my favorite Yordles to draw. The next Yordle is kind of already done a little bit, you know, just a few details here and there. But let's just say I kind of was scared I was scared in the middle of the process, because like I said, in this type of way of drawing, it is scary when you don't have anything on the canvas, when it's just a bunch of blobs and shapes and nothing else. But once you get over that hurdle, it becomes very rewarding to draw this type of way. The fuck is this woman?
I don't know. Nika? What?
Roll that back, I didn't hear it properly. Some retard was laughing.
What the